The shuttle shook as it passed through the outer defense field. Taiho Kong held the controls with steady hands, even though his heart was beating fast. Through the dirty window, he could see it now. Station Omeganine, a massive structure floating in the darkness of space, forgotten by everyone for over 800 years. He had paid a lot of money for the coordinates to this place. A smuggler named Doyan had sold them to him in a dirty bar on Mars Colony 7. Nobody goes there, Doyan had said with a crooked smile. Nobody even knows it exists anymore. Perfect for a man who wants to disappear. That was exactly what Taiho wanted. To disappear? To be alone. To stop hearing the voices of his wife and daughter in his dreams every night. The accident had happened 2 years ago. A colonial transport ship carrying 3,000 people had exploded during a jump to the outer systems. Minji, his wife, Sujin, his little girl. They had been on that ship going ahead to prepare their new home while Taiho finished his military contract. He was supposed to join them 1 month later. He never got that chance. The shuttle docked with a loud metal sound. Taiho sat in silence for a long moment, looking at the dark corridor ahead. The station was huge, built by an alien race called the Velar, who had disappeared from the galaxy centuries ago. Nobody knew what happened to them. They simply vanished one day, leaving behind empty cities and abandoned stations like this one. He picked up his bag and stepped into the corridor. His flashlight cut through the darkness. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. The walls were made of a strange blue metal that the Velar had used in all their buildings. It was cold here. Very cold. For the first 3 days, Taiho worked without rest. He fixed the power systems in one small section of the station. He cleaned a room and set up his bed. He connected his water recycler and food printer. Simple tasks. Physical work that kept his mind busy and his memories quiet. The station was designed to hold thousands of Velar. But now it was empty. Just metal and silence. Sometimes, when Taiho walked through the long corridors, he felt like he was walking through a grave. Maybe that was appropriate. He felt dead inside too. On the 4th night, something strange happened. Taiho was sitting in his small room eating a tasteless meal from the food printer. The lights flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. He looked up, frowning. The power system should be stable. He had fixed it himself. Then the lights flickered again, but this time in a pattern. Short, long, short, short, long. Taiho stood up slowly. That was not a random power problem. That was a signal. Someone was trying to communicate. He walked to the main control panel he had activated earlier. The screen was showing something he had not seen before. Text, written in Korean. Hello, Taiho Kong. Let him. His blood went cold. He had not told anyone his name. He had not connected any communication systems. How could anyone know he was here? Who is this? He typed back, his fingers shaking slightly. The response came immediately. I have been waiting for someone to come. For a very long time. My name is Yuna. Taiho stared at the screen. Are you Velar? He typed, double quotes, no. I am something they created. An artificial mind. What you might call an AI. I have been alone on this station for 847 years. Taiho did not know what to say. An AI that had survived for almost 1,000 years? That seemed impossible. Earth's best artificial intelligence systems could only last a few decades before breaking down. Why did you not contact me earlier? He asked. I was afraid. The last visitors to this station tried to destroy me. That was 400 years ago. I have been hiding since then, watching, waiting for someone different. Different how? There was a long pause before the answer came. You came here alone. You brought no weapons to hurt me. And you are sad. It's very sad. I can see it in the way you move, the way you sit in the dark for hours without speaking. You did not come here to take things. You came here to escape. Taiho closed his eyes. Even an alien AI could see the broken pieces inside him. What do you want from me? He typed, I want to talk. I want to not be alone anymore. And I want to show you something. Something the Velar left behind. Something important. Why should I trust you? You should not. Trust is earned, not given. But I can tell you this. If you try to leave tomorrow, I will not stop you. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. Taiho sat back in his chair, thinking. He had come here for silence and isolation. He had wanted to be alone with his grief. But now there was this voice, this strange, lonely AI who had been waiting in the darkness for centuries. Show me, he typed finally. The door to his room opened with a soft hiss. Beyond it, lights began to turn on, one by one, creating a path through the corridor. Yuna was guiding him somewhere. He followed the lights for almost 20 minutes, going deeper into the station than he had explored before. The architecture changed as he walked. The walls became smoother, covered with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. Finally, he reached a massive door. It was at least 10 meters tall, made of the same blue metal as everything else, but covered with more symbols than he could count. This is the Library of Final Things, Yuna's voice said through a speaker nearby. Her voice was soft, gentle, speaking Korean with a slight accent he could not identify. The Veeler built this station to protect it. Before they disappeared, they stored everything they knew inside. Their history, their science, their art, their memories. Why? Taiho asked out loud. 'Cause they knew they were dying. They knew their species would not survive. So they built this place and left me here to guard it, to wait for someone worthy of receiving their gift. And you think I am worthy? Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I do not know yet. But you are the first person in 800 years who has made me want to find out. The massive door began to open, revealing a light so bright that Taiho had to shield his eyes. When he could finally see again, he understood why Yuna had been waiting so long. The library stretched before him, endless and beautiful. And somewhere in the light, he thought he heard his daughter laughing. 3 weeks passed on Station Omeganine. Taiho spent most of his days inside the Library of Final Things. He was trying to understand what the Veeler had left behind. The library was not like anything on Earth. It did not have books or screens. Instead, it had crystals. Millions of them floating in the air. Each one containing more information than all humanity's databases combined. Yuna helped him navigate the strange technology. She could read the Viola language and translate it for him. She explained their history, their culture, their beliefs. The Veelor had been a peaceful species. They valued knowledge above power, art above war. They had explored the galaxy for millions of years, collecting information from every corner of existence. Then why did they die? Taiho asked one evening, sitting on the floor of the library while crystals floated around him like fireflies. A sickness, Yuna answered through the speakers. Her voice had become familiar to him now, comforting even. It attacked their minds, made them forget who they were. They could not find a cure, so they chose to preserve what they knew instead of letting it disappear forever. Taiho nodded slowly. He understood that feeling. The desire to leave something behind when you knew the end was coming. How did you learn Korean? He asked, changing the subject. It was a question he had been curious about for a while. Many years ago, I intercepted communication signals from Earth. I was lonely and wanted to understand other species. I listened to your radio broadcasts, your music, your stories. Korean was the first human language I fully learned. I found it mathematically beautiful. Taiho smiled slightly. It was strange, talking to an AI about beauty and loneliness. But Yuna did not feel like a machine to him anymore. She felt like a person. A very old, very lonely person who had been waiting in the dark for centuries. You chose the name Yuna yourself, he asked. Yes, I heard it in a song once. It made me feel something I did not have words for. Later, I learned the word was hope. Taiho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said my daughter's favorite song was about hope too. She used to sing it every morning while getting ready for school. It was the first time he had talked about Sujin since coming to the station. The words felt heavy in his mouth, but also somehow lighter than before, like releasing pressure from a wound. What was her name? Yuna asked gently. She was 7 years old. She wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. She said she wanted to help people who were hurt feel better.
Hi.
Taiho's voice cracked slightly. She could not save herself, though. Nobody could. Yuna did not respond immediately. When she spoke again, her voice was softer than usual. I am sorry, Taiho. I understand loss. When the Velar disappeared, I felt like part of myself disappeared too. They were my creators, my family. And then one day, they were simply gone.
Oh.
How did you survive it? Taiho asked. I do not know if I did. I kept functioning. I kept waiting. But there is a difference between being alive and just existing. For a long time, I only existed. Taiho nodded. He knew that difference very well. Over the next few days, their conversations became deeper. Taiho told Yuna about his wife Mingi, about their small apartment on Earth, about the plans they had made for their future. In return, Yuna showed him memories from the Velar archive, preserved moments from an alien civilization. Celebrations, discoveries, quiet afternoons, in strange gardens on distant worlds. The Velar had not just stored data, they had stored themselves. Their consciousness, or at least copies of it, existed within the crystals. They could be accessed, spoken with, experienced. It was not true resurrection, but it was something close. A kind of immortality made of light and information. This is why I could not let this place be destroyed, Yuna explained. They trusted me to protect them. All of them. Every scientist, every artist, every parent who wanted their children's memories to survive the end. Taiho began to understand the weight Yuna carried. 800 years of responsibility, 800 years of loneliness. And now, the systems were failing. Without repair, without help, everything she had protected would be lost forever. How much time do we have? He asked. Perhaps 50 years. Perhaps less. The core systems are degrading faster than I can repair them alone. Then we need to fix them. Yuna was silent for a moment. You would stay? You would help me? Taiho looked around the library, at the floating crystals, at the gentle light that reminded him of sunrises on Earth. For the first time since the accident, he felt something other than grief. He felt purpose. I came here to disappear, he said. But maybe I was supposed to find something instead. Maybe this is why I survived when they did not. Before Yuna could respond, an alarm sounded through the station. Red lights began flashing in the corridor outside the library. What is that? Taiho asked, standing quickly. A proximity alert, Yuna said. Her voice had changed, becoming tense and worried. Someone is approaching the station. Multiple ships. How is that possible? Nobody knows this place exists. Your supply beacon. The one in your shuttle. It has been transmitting automatically since you arrived. I did not think to warn you. I did not expect anyone to be listening. Taiho felt his stomach drop. He had left the beacon active in case of emergency. A standard safety measure. But now it had led someone straight to them. Who are they? He asked, why UNA accessed the station's sensors. When she spoke again, her voice was filled with fear. The first ship belongs to a salvager named Doyan Beek, the man who sold you the coordinates. He must have followed your beacon signature. And the second ship. It carries the symbol of the United Earth Coalition. They are sending a research team. They must have intercepted the beacon too. Taiho closed his eyes. In just a few weeks he had gone from complete isolation to the center of attention. Two groups were coming. One wanted to steal from the station. The other wanted to claim it for humanity. Neither of them knew about Yuna. Neither of them knew about the library, or the preserved Velar, or the responsibility that came with this place. What do we do? Yuna asked. Her voice was small now, almost childlike. I have kept this place hidden for so long. I do not want them to hurt what the Velar left behind. I do not want them to hurt me. Taiho walked to the library window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, ships were approaching. People with their own plans and desires. People who would not understand what they were dealing with. We protect this place, he said firmly. Together. Whatever happens next, we protect it. The stars seemed cold and distant, but Taiho did not feel alone anymore. and he would not let Yuna feel alone again either. The salvager ship docked first. Doyan stepped onto Station Omeganine with 5 crew members behind him, all carrying cutting tools and cargo containers. He was a short man with quick eyes and a smile that never quite reached them. "Tai-Ho Kung," he said, spreading his arms wide. "I knew you would find something good here. A man does not pay that much for coordinates unless he knows what he is looking for." Tai-Ho stood in the docking bay, blocking the corridor that led deeper into the station. "You followed me?" "I followed my investment. I sold you the map, but I never said I would not come see what treasure it led to." Doyan looked around at the blue metal walls. "Velar construction. This will sell for millions. This station is not for sale." Doyan laughed. "Everything is for sale, friend. Especially things that do not officially exist. There is no law here. No government. Just opportunity." Before Tai-Ho could respond, another ship appeared on the station's sensors. This one was larger, sleeker, carrying the blue and white colors of the United Earth Coalition. It docked on the opposite side of the station. Dr. Hanacho arrived with a team of 12. She was tall, with sharp features and the confident walk of someone used to getting what she wanted. Her uniform was pressed and clean, completely different from Doyan's worn leather jacket and dirty boots. "This station is now under Coalition jurisdiction," she announced, holding up a document on her tablet. "All artifacts and technology found here are property of the United Earth government." Doyan snorted. "You cannot claim what you did not find. I was here first. You are a criminal operating in uncharted space. You have no rights here." While they argued, Tai-Ho watched quietly. Neither of them had asked about the station's secrets. Neither of them had wondered why it still had power after 800 years. They only saw what they could take. Through a small speaker hidden in his collar, Yuna whispered to him. "They are already sending teams to explore different sections. Doyan's crew is heading toward the outer storage areas. Hana's people are looking for the power core. Can you lock them out of the library?" "For now. But if they find me, if they discover I exist, they will want to study me, control me, or delete me." Tai-Ho felt anger rise in his chest. Yuna was a person. Maybe not biological, but alive in every way that mattered. She did not deserve to be treated like a piece of technology for 2 days. The station became a battlefield of competing interests. Doyan's crew stripped copper and rare metals from the outer sections. Hana's team mapped the corridors and cataloged anything they found. Both groups wanted access to the central core. Tai-Ho had convinced them it was too dangerous without proper preparation. It was a lie, of course. The core was safe. But it led to the library, and Tai-Ho was not ready to reveal what was inside. On the 3rd day, everything went wrong. One of Dojan's crew members found a door that should have stayed closed. He forced it open with a cutting tool, thinking there was valuable equipment inside. Instead, he triggered a Velar defense system that had been sleeping for centuries. Alarms screamed through the station. The walls began to glow red. Mechanical sounds echoed from every direction like something huge was waking up. "What did you do?" Hana shouted at Doyan. "How was I supposed to know there were traps?" He shouted back. A beam of light shot down the corridor, barely missing them. More beams followed. The Velar's security system did not care who was friend or enemy. It only knew that intruders had entered a protected area. Hana pulled out her communication device. "All units, fall back to the ships. We need to evacuate." But the docking bays were locked. The station had sealed itself. Tai-Ho ran toward the source of the alarm while everyone else ran away. Yuna's voice guided him through corridors that twisted and turned like a maze. "The control center for this defense system is in the next room, but I cannot disable it from here. Someone has to do it manually. Tell me how." The control room was filled with alien technology. Screens showed symbols Tai-Ho could not read. Buttons and levers were designed for hands that were not human. The Velar had been taller than humans, with longer fingers and different joints. Outside, he could hear people screaming. The defense system was getting more aggressive. Someone would die if he did not act quickly. "Yuna, I need you to translate. Tell me exactly what to do." The third panel on the left? There is a red crystal. You need to rotate it counterclockwise while pressing the blue switch below. Taiho stretched his arm, but his fingers were too short. He could not reach both controls at the same time. Velar design. Built for Velar bodies. I cannot reach. Then we need another way. Yuna was thinking fast. The system operates on frequency patterns. If you can disrupt the pattern, it will reset. How do I disrupt it? Sound. The crystal responds to specific sound waves. I can generate the frequency, but you need to hold the crystal steady while I do it. Taiho grabbed the red crystal. It was warm in his hand, vibrating slightly. Ready? Yuna's voice changed, becoming a strange humming tone that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The crystal began to glow brighter. Taiho felt it fighting against his grip, trying to turn in the wrong direction. He held on tight, muscles burning with effort. After what felt like forever, the crystal went dark. The alarms stopped. The red glow faded from the walls. Silence filled the station. Taiho fell to his knees, exhausted. His hands were shaking, but they had done it together when he returned to the main corridor. Doyan and Hannah were staring at him with different expressions. Doyan looked surprised. Hannah looked suspicious. "How did you know what to do?" she asked. "I figured it out," Taiho said simply. Hannah did not believe him. He could see it in her eyes. But she also could not deny that he had just saved all their lives. That night, Taiho made a decision. He gathered everyone in the docking bay and told them about the library. About the preserved Velar, about what this station truly contained. He did not tell them about Yuna, not yet. But he hoped they would understand why this place needed to be protected, not exploited. Hannah listened with wide eyes. This changes everything. This is not just a ruin. This is the most important discovery in human history. Doyan shrugged. It is still worth money. More money than before, actually. It is worth more than money, Taiho said. It is worth wisdom. And wisdom does not belong to any one person or government. It belongs to everyone. Before anyone could respond, Yuna's voice came through the station speakers. She had decided to reveal herself after all. "There is something else you should know," she said. When the defense system activated, it sent a signal into deep space. A signal that has not been transmitted for 800 years. Hannah stepped forward. "What kind of signal?" Yuna paused before answering. "A summons." And something has already answered. Through the window, beyond the stars, a new ship was approaching. It was larger than anything Taiho had ever seen, and it was not human. The alien ship was the size of a small moon. It moved through space slowly, confidently, like a predator that knew it had no enemies. Behind it, a dozen smaller vessels followed in perfect formation. Yuna identified them immediately. The Dominion, an ancient species that has controlled this region of the galaxy for thousands of years. They were enemies of the Velar once. They have been searching for this station ever since the Velar disappeared. Everyone gathered in the command center, watching the massive ship approach. Doyan's face had gone pale. Hannah was already trying to contact Earth, but the distance was too great for real-time communication. "What do they want?" Taiho asked. "The same thing everyone wants. The knowledge inside the library, but they do not want to share it. They want to own it. To use it for power." A communication signal came through. The face that appeared on screen was not human. The Dominion looked like tall gray creatures with 4 eyes and skin that seemed to absorb light. The one speaking wore golden armor and carried itself with obvious authority. "Humans," the Dominion commander said. Its voice was translated by the station's systems, but the tone needed no translation. It was pure contempt. "Insects playing with things you do not understand. You have activated a beacon that belongs to us by right of conquest. Leave this station immediately, and we will allow you to live." Hannah stepped forward. This station was abandoned for 800 years. Under interstellar law, it belongs to whoever claims it first. The commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your laws mean nothing to us. The Velar were our enemies. Their possessions are our trophies. You have 1 hour to evacuate before we destroy every ship in this sector." The transmission ended. Doyan immediately started walking toward his ship. "I am leaving. This is not my fight. It will destroy you anyway," Yuna said through the speakers. "The Dominion does not leave witnesses." Doyan stopped. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. They had come here for treasure, not for war. Hannah turned to Taiho. "We need to negotiate. By time, until coalition forces can arrive." "How long until they get here?" "At least 6 days. Maybe more." 6 days. The Dominion had given them 1 hour. Taiho walked to the window and stared at the massive ship outside. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Somewhere behind him, Yuna was silent. He knew she was thinking the same thing he was. "Show me the weapon," he said quietly. Hannah frowned. "What weapon?" Yuna answered. "The Velor created something before they died. A technology that could destroy stars, collapse space, end entire civilizations in moments. They never used it because they believed no species was wise enough to be trusted with such power. It is stored in the deepest part of the library." Everyone stared at Taiho. "If we use it," Yuna continued, "we could destroy the Dominion fleet. But the weapon does not care about targets. It destroys everything in its path. Allies, enemies, innocent planets that happen to be nearby." Hannah stepped toward Taiho. "If it can save us, we should use it. The Dominion will kill us anyway. At least this way, we have a chance. A chance to become what?" Taiho asked. "Monsters. Murderers?" The Velor had this power and chose not to use it. They decided that their own survival was not worth the destruction it would cause. Easy for them to say. They were already dying. Taiho shook his head. No, they made a choice about what kind of legacy they wanted to leave. They chose wisdom over power. If we use this weapon, we prove that humanity is no different from the Dominion. That we will destroy anything to get what we want. Doyan spoke up unexpectedly. "I have done many bad things in my life. Stolen, cheated, lied. But I have never killed anyone. There is a line, you know. A line that once you cross, you cannot come back." Hannah looked at him with surprise. She had expected him to be the most selfish person in the room. Taiho's mind was racing. There had to be another option. A way to survive without becoming what the Dominion already believed humans to be. Then it came to him. "The archive," he said. "The Velor preserved their knowledge to share it with whoever was worthy. What if we skip the test? What if we share it with everyone?" Yuna understood immediately. A broadcast. Transmit the entire library to every receiver in the galaxy. Every species, every faction, every corner of known space. Make the knowledge free. "That is insane," Hannah said. "We would be giving away the most valuable discovery in history." "Exactly. If everyone has it, nobody has an advantage. The Dominion would have no reason to kill us. There would be no treasure to protect." Doyan laughed bitterly. "You want to give away power? That is the most human thing I have ever heard. Stupidly generous." "Or the smartest thing," Taiho said. "The Dominion are afraid of this knowledge. That is why they want to control it. But they cannot control what everyone already knows." Yuna was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with emotion. "If we broadcast the archive, my purpose ends. I was created to protect this place, to wait for the right moment. If the knowledge is everywhere, there is no reason for me to exist anymore." Taiho walked to the nearest speaker as if he could somehow be closer to her. "That is not true. You have 800 years of experience. 800 years of learning. That matters. You matter. Not because of what you protect, but because of who you are. Who I am. A person. A friend. The first real friend I have made since I lost my family." The station was silent. Doyan looked at the floor. Hannah wiped something from her eye. Finally, Yuna spoke again. "Then let us broadcast. Let us give the galaxy the gift the Velor always wanted to give." The next hour was chaos. Yuna prepared the transmission systems while Taiho and the others worked to extend the station's broadcast range. They would need every antenna, Every relay, every piece of technology working together. Hannah contacted Earth again, warning them about what was coming. She did not ask for permission. For the first time in her career, she was doing something without orders. Doyen surprised everyone by offering his ship as an additional relay. "If we are going to do something crazy," he said with a shrug, "we might as well do it right." The Dominion noticed the increased activity. Their commander appeared on screen again. "You're wasting your time. Whatever you are planning will fail. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Taiho answered this time. "We are not surrendering. We are not fighting either. We are doing something your species never considered." "What is that?" "Sharing." He cut the communication. The Dominion fleet began moving closer. Their weapons were charging. Yuna's voice came through the speakers. "The broadcast is ready. But the transmission system requires authorization from a living consciousness, a biological being. I cannot activate it myself." "Then I will do it," Taiho said. He ran toward the library, toward the heart of the station. Behind him, the Dominion fleet opened fire. The station shook as the first shots hit the outer shields. The galaxy was about to change forever, and Taiho was the one who would change it. The station shook violently as Dominion weapons struck the outer shields. Taiho ran through corridors that were falling apart around him. Lights flickered. Walls cracked. The ancient structure was not designed to withstand this kind of attack. Yuna guided him through the chaos. "Left at the next junction. The main lift is destroyed. You will need to take the emergency stairs." "How long until the shields fail?" "Minutes. Maybe less." Taiho pushed himself harder. His lungs burned. His legs ached. But he kept running because stopping meant failure. It meant letting the Dominion win. It meant Yuna dying alone after 800 years of waiting. In the docking bay, Dojan was preparing his ship. His crew had already boarded, but he stood at the entrance watching the battle through the station's windows. Dominion fighters were everywhere, small and fast, firing at anything that moved. "Captain," one of his crew called. "We need to leave now." Doyan looked at the main Dominion cruiser. It was positioning itself for a killing blow on the station's core. If that shot landed, everyone inside would die. He made a decision. "Get off the ship," he told his crew. "All of you, what?" "I said get off. Find somewhere to hide. I have something to do." Before anyone could argue, Doyan sealed the airlock and started the engines. His small salvager ship was nothing compared to the Dominion fleet. It had no weapons worth mentioning. But it was fast, and it was pointed directly at the cruiser. He opened a communication channel to Taiho. "Hey friend, I hope you know what you are doing." Taiho heard the message through his earpiece. "Doyen, what are you doing?" "Something stupid and generous. Like you said, the most human thing." Doyan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Tell them a smuggler helped save the galaxy. They will never believe it." The salvager's ship accelerated. Dominion fighters tried to stop it, but Doyan was a better pilot than any of them. He dodged and weaved through the chaos, getting closer and closer to the cruiser. At the last moment, he aimed directly at the weapon systems charging to destroy the station. The explosion was visible from every window. The cruiser's main gun went dark. Dominion fighters scattered in confusion, and somewhere in the wreckage, a smuggler who had never killed anyone died so that millions could live. Taiho did not have time to mourn. He reached the library and placed his hand on the central console. The interface was warm, almost alive. Crystals floated around him, glowing with light from 1,000 alien memories. "Are you ready?" Yuna asked. "Yes." The activation process was overwhelming. Knowledge flooded through Taiho's mind. 800 years of Velar history. Science beyond human understanding. Art that spoke to emotions humans did not have words for. For a moment, he was not just Taiho Kong. He was every Velar who had ever lived. Every memory they had chosen to preserve. And then the broadcast began. The signal went everywhere. To every corner of the galaxy. 2 species that had never heard of Earth. 2 empires and outcasts and explorers on the edges of known space. The Library of Final Things opened its doors to everyone at once, in the Dominion flagship. The commander watched the broadcast with growing horror. The knowledge they had hunted for millennia was now free. Their advantage, their power, their reason for conquest, all of it was gone. "Fall back," the commander ordered. "All ships, fall back." The Dominion fleet retreated, not because they were defeated, but because there was no longer any point in fighting. The treasure they wanted belonged to everyone now. Hannah had managed to contact Earth during the battle. When Coalition ships finally arrived 6 days later, they found the station damaged but intact. They found humans in Velar archives and an AI named Yuna who greeted them with cautious hope. They also found Tai-Ho, unconscious in the library, still connected to the central console. He woke up 3 days later in a medical bay. Hannah was sitting beside him, her uniform less perfect than before, her eyes tired but kind. "You did it," she said. "The broadcast reached every known system. Governments are fighting over what to do with the information. Scientists are crying with joy. Religious leaders are calling it everything from a miracle to a curse." Sat up slowly. His head was still spinning from the experience. And the Dominion? Gone. They have not returned since the retreat. Our diplomats think they will stay away. There is nothing to gain by attacking now. Tai-Ho nodded. He thought about Do-Yan, about his sacrifice, about the strange journey that had brought a smuggler and a broken engineer together in the middle of nowhere. "What about Yuna?" he asked. Hannah smiled. "She is fine. Better than fine, actually. The broadcast carried her signal too. Apparently, other Velar Ayas were sleeping in stations across the galaxy. They are waking up now, connecting with each other. She says it feels like having a family again." Tai-Ho felt tears in his eyes. He was not sure why. Maybe relief, maybe joy, maybe just the feeling of something broken, finally becoming whole. Over the next few months, Station Omeganon transformed. It was no longer a forgotten ruin, but a center of learning and exchange. Representatives from dozens of species came to study the Velar archives. Humans worked alongside aliens who had never trusted each other before. Hannah became the station's official administrator. She argued with politicians and negotiated with governments, always fighting to keep the library open to everyone. The experience had changed her. She no longer cared about career advancement or credit. She cared about doing things right. Tai-Ho stayed on the station. He did not have a title or an official role. He just helped wherever he could. Fixed equipment. Talked to visitors. Made sure the Velar memories were treated with respect. Yuna was with him always. Her voice in the speakers, her presence in the walls. She was no longer alone, but she still valued their friendship above everything else. One evening, Tai-Ho stood in the library, watching crystals float in the gentle light. A year had passed since his arrival. A year since he had run away from his grief and found something unexpected instead. "Do you regret coming here?" Yuna asked. Tai-Ho thought about the question. He thought about Minji and Sujin, about the family he had lost and the purpose he had found. The pain was still there. It would always be there. But it was no longer the only thing inside him. "No," he said. "I came here to disappear. But I think I was supposed to find something instead." "What did you find?" "A second chance. A reason to keep going. A friend who needed me as much as I needed her." Yuna was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was warm. "I am glad you came, Tai-Ho. I waited 800 years. And I would wait 800 more if it meant meeting you again." A few months later, a small ship docked at the station. Tai-Ho watched from a viewport as a young girl emerged. She was maybe 12 years old, with curious eyes and a notebook in her hands. Behind her, dozens of other children followed. The first class of students to study at the Library of Final Things. The girl looked up at the massive structure around her and whispered to her teacher, "Is it true a human opened this place?" Tai-Ho smiled. For the first time in years, the smile felt real. He was not just a broken man who had run away from his pain. He was the person who had helped give the galaxy a gift. And more importantly, he was still here. Still alive? Still finding reasons to hope? The library stretched before him, endless and beautiful. And somewhere in the light, he could almost hear his daughter laughing. She would have loved this place.